I have a question. How many of us, let's be honest, like to think of ourselves as great bargain hunters? We enjoy finding a good deal, right? Getting something valuable that we didn't have to pay a lot for. Perhaps even bragging that we were able to find that bargain. The theme I hear in today's reading is, what are we really seeking and how much are we willing to pay? In the first reading from God says to Solomon, ask something of me, whatever you want, and I will give it to you. Solomon could have asked for a long life, great wealth, victory over his enemies, more power. Instead, Solomon asked for the gift of wisdom. He asked for an understanding heart so he might serve the people of God well. Solomon's wisdom was revealed not only in what he asked for, but in why he asked for it for others. In our second reading from Paul's letter to the Romans, Paul writes, we know that all things work for good for those who love God. Love God. Paul is not saying that everything that happens is good. Some things are painful, unjust, tragic even, and sometimes difficult to even understand. Paul is saying that when our lives are rooted in love, God can work through even the most difficult experiences and draw us towards life. Love is not only the final destination, it is the right direction. We're moving in the right direction when what we do flows from the depths of our being into loving others. Then in Matthew's Gospel today, Jesus gives us three beautiful parables. The treasure hidden in a field, the merchant searching for a pearl of great price, and the nut thrown into the sea. A person discovers a treasure in a field and filled with joy, note that, filled with joy, sells everything to buy that field. A merchant discovers one pearl of extraordinary value and sells everything to possess it. Notice that Jesus says they sell everything, nothing held back. No bargain hunting. They recognize something of such great value that everything else becomes secondary. The reign of God is not simply one more item among all the other things that we want. It's not an accessory we add to an already crowded life. It's the treasure that gives everything else its meaning. It's the pearl for which we're willing to give all that we have. But perhaps we would prefer to find the pearl at a discount, a bargain. Perhaps we want the treasure but are reluctant to pay the full price. We want love, yes, but, well, without sacrifice. We want forgiveness, but we kind of like to hold on to our resentments. We want peace, but without changing the habits that create conflict. We want the reign of God, yes, but only when it fits comfortably into our own plans. The reign of God is not a bargain. I hate to spoil our day. Love is not cheap. I'd like to describe the reign of God in the following way. The reign of God is seeing and loving as God sees and loves. Again, the reign of God is seeing and loving as God sees and loves. To love as Jesus loved asks something of us. It may ask us to surrender our pride, our illusions, our need to control, our resentments, our prejudices, our attachment at always being right, It may ask us to give our time. Oh, we hate to do that. Our attention, our resources, and even our lives for the sake of others. This is the cost of the treasure, the cost of the pearl. Jesus tells us that the person who discovered the treasure sold everything out of joy. But a key passage. The suffering was real, the sacrifice was real, but so was the joy. When we discover what is truly worth living for, giving no longer feels like simply losing something. It becomes the way we receive something greater. So perhaps the question for each of us today is, what treasure am I seeking? What pearl am I willing to give my life for? Why do I do what I do? The wisdom of Solomon, the love described by Paul, and the treasure proclaimed by Jesus all point us in the same direction. The greatest deal, bargain, we will ever discover is not something we can purchase cheaply, inexpensively. It's the invitation to give our lives away in love, day after day, and knowing that it's not our love, we're participating in a greater love, and we're letting it flow through us, as Jesus did. And the price is simply all that we have. And also, all the joy we can possibly tolerate.